My name is Rick Voss, Master Sergeant, U.S. Army, attached to JSOC under Task Force Orion, Serial 78291-05. If you're reading this, I need you to listen to every goddamn word I say, because what we found up there isn't just some missing unit. It's not insurgents, it's not Russians, it's not anything we trained for. This is the field record of Operation Deadlight conducted in the Hindu Kush, northern Afghanistan. Our mission was simple: recon and recovery. But we didn't recover anyone, because they weren't people anymore. It started with a signal, a distress transmission intercepted at FOB Callahan on August 3rd, 0420 hours. Audio was broken, lots of static, but the voice was unmistakable. It was Captain Elias Grant, Delta Operator, Echo Team 7. The problem? Echo 7 went dark 6 months ago during a classified sweep in the Shah Dara Valley. KIA, presumed ambushed. No bodies ever recovered. The military closed the file. But this transmission? It was fresh, and he was requesting extraction. Coordinates pointed to a grid about 15 clicks north of Shah Dara. No known outposts, no patrols, no reason anyone should have been transmitting from there. The spooks tried to scrub it, claimed it was a rebroadcast, Taliban mimicry, SIGINT anomaly. But then the second transmission came through. Same voice, different tone. More desperate. Slurred. They're not gone. They're in the walls. We open the floor and, don't come looking, it wants more of us. That's when command sent us in. We were Echo Black, JSOC's silent hammer. No patches, no press, no acknowledgement. 6 of us, me, Voss, Mission Lead Turner, Comms and Drone Recon, Delgado, Demo and Heavy Weps Co., Medic Haynes, Signals Intel, Waters, Sniper, Overwatch. Air dropped us just after 200, cold, thin air, mountain silence. No moon. We hiked 12 clicks under full radio blackout until we reached the last known coordinates. No visible movement, just the outline of something partially buried in the rock. A small cement structure, like a bunker entrance, choked by sand and moss. No markings, no flags, just a metal hatch, slightly open. Waters took point. Turner rigged the relay drone to monitor the valley. Then we went in. It was colder inside. Too cold for an underground structure with no power. The air smelled like rust and burnt plastic. The walls were etched with scratches, not random, but deliberate. Symbols. Circular. Some looked like maps, others like equations. The entryway led to a main corridor, narrow, maybe 6 feet wide. Power cables still ran along the ceiling, though none were live. And then we found the first camp. Rucksacks, tents, crates, all tagged with Echo Team 7 identifiers. Canteens still full. MREs unopened, a field laptop, dead, no bodies, no blood, just absence. Like they'd all stood up at once and walked into a wall. Co checked the med supplies, everything untouched. Delgado found a whiteboard under a tarp, covered in notes, some scrawled in Sharpie, some etched with a knife. At the top, do not dig. Below it, coordinates we hadn't seen before, 3 clicks deeper into the mountain. And a second message. We heard them first, in the walls. We camped for 1 hour to regroup. I should have pulled us out then. But Turner picked up something, a signal bouncing off a low band frequency. Analog, not digital, like an old WEW2 transmission buried under static and reverb. He boosted it. The voice again. Captain Grant, clearer this time. They listen. When we speak, they listen. When we sleep, they crawl closer. If anyone gets this, burn the map. Burn it all. Then silence. Waters cursed. Haynes dropped the receiver. He looked shaken, kept rubbing his neck, said he felt something crawling. Co gave him a shot of benzos, said it was altitude sickness. But that wasn't it. None of us wanted to say it, but we were starting to hear things too. By 0500 we reached the second coordinate, an excavation site. Makeshift scaffolding and generator shells. Rusted Soviet gear, at least 40 years old. This wasn't Echo 7's dig. This had been dug up decades ago. In the center of the site, a hatch, round, metallic, with bolts the size of my fist. A warning in Russian spray-painted around the rim. Haynes translated it. Beneath, there is no God. Delgado asked if it was a nuke vault. I hoped so. We opened it. A ladder descended 30 feet into a black void. No lights, no airflow. We went down. The tunnel led to a corridor lined with what looked like cells. Human cells. Barred doors, scratched walls, chains. Inside one cell we found a recording device, Soviet-era reel-to-reel. Turner powered it up. The recording was in Russian at first, but then the language changed, mid-sentence, to a dialect no one recognized. Clicks, guttural groans, then screaming, long, inhuman, a chorus of screams, like multiple mouths sharing one throat. We all heard it, in our ears, in our bones. Waters had a nosebleed. Haynes threw up. Delgado kept looking down the hall and muttering, "Don't blink, don't blink. We should have left." But the door closed behind us. Turner swore the pressure sensors failed. That's why the blast gate locked. I think it knew we were there. I think it was waiting. We moved forward. The tunnel sloped downward. Air grew denser, like we were walking into a vacuum. My headset kept picking up breathing, but no one was talking. Then we found the bodies. 4 men, wearing Echo 7 uniforms, all seated in a circle. Not decomposed, but dried out like they'd been drained. Skin like paper. Eyes sunken, hands clasped as if in prayer. Burned into the floor beneath them was a sigil, a spiral inside a triangle, surrounded by a ring of script. Haynes said it was pre-Aramaic. Coe took photos. Then one of the corpses moved, only slightly, like its chest rose once. We opened fire, no hesitation. Every man lit it up, but the bullets didn't hit anything. They passed through. The corpses crumbled into ash, one by one. We didn't speak for a while after that. Just breathing, just footsteps. At the final corridor, Turner said he picked up another signal. Not radio, but biometric. A heat signature. Moving slowly, human-sized. We prepped for contact, moved in. The chamber was massive, a domed room made of black stone, slick like obsidian. No lights, no markings. In the center, Captain Elias Grant, still alive, kneeling, whispering to himself. We surrounded him. He looked up at me and smiled. "You heard it too, didn't you?" Then he pulled something from his vest. A chunk of metal, sharp, twisted, with that same spiral triangle engraved on it. He whispered, "It's awake now," and drove it into his own neck. We tried to stop the bleeding, too late. Grant died smiling, and then from the walls they began to crawl out. Entry 2:17 hours, August 3rd. Location subterranean facility, Shah Dara Valley, Afghanistan. We opened fire. I didn't even think. None of us did. Whatever was crawling out of those walls, it wasn't natural. Arms too long, mouths where there shouldn't be mouths. No armor, no gear, just skin like wet ash, stretched over impossible bones. But the worst part? They still wore faces we recognized. One of them had Delgado's eyes, staring at him. Another whispered Coe's full name before it lunged. We dropped 3, maybe 4, before I called the retreat. We pulled out of the chamber, dragging Grant's body with us. Turner sealed the door with a thermite block, but even as the metal burned, I swear I could still hear them laughing behind it. No one spoke for a full minute. We were Delta, Tier 1, hardened men. But something about that room, it took something from us, left us hollow. Waters finally broke the silence. "We're not alone in this place." He wasn't wrong. We retraced our steps, climbing back toward the upper levels, but the tunnel had changed. I know how that sounds. But I'm telling you, the layout was different. Where there were once 4 side corridors, now there were 5. And the path back to the hatch, gone, only solid stone. Delgado scanned it with sonar, came back like bedrock. No metal, no seams. That was the first time I saw fear on Turner's face. We set up a fallback position in a secondary chamber. It looked like some kind of old med bay, rusted cots, chains on the walls, dried bloodstains on the floor that looked recent. I ordered a rotation of 2-hour watches. Coe checked everyone's vitals. Haynes had a fever, 102.4, but no infection. Just shaking, sweating. He kept muttering about the symbols we saw etched in the tunnels. Said they moved when we weren't looking. I told him to get some rest. That was a mistake. At 3:15, Coe screamed. We jumped up, weapons drawn. Haynes was gone, just gone. His gear still there, his pack, his boots, even his rifle, untouched. No drag marks, no sound, nothing on Turner's motion cam. It was like he disappeared between frames. We searched the entire quadrant. Then Waters called out. He found something on the wall in the adjoining hallway, fresh blood, smears, and a handprint, too large to be Haynes's, way too large. Like someone pressed it against the stone and dragged it downward. Below it, scrawled in the same red, "He said my name." That's when we heard it. A voice, clear, calm, familiar. Haynes, report to Voss. Haynes, status check. It was me, my voice. Over the comms, I didn't say it. My mic was cold, switched off. Turner froze. That's not you, he whispered. The voice repeated, again and again. Delgado ripped the battery from his headset. Then it changed. Voss, come down. Come see what Haynes saw. I raised my rifle and fired 3 rounds into the comm array. The voice cut, but none of us said a word after that. At 4:30, Waters climbed into a crawl space to check an old ventilation shaft. Said he heard air moving. We never saw him again. 1 minute he was talking to us, the next, radio silence. We waited, called his name, nothing. Then Turner picked up something on his field monitor, camera feed from Waters' scope. It was working, and it was still transmitting. He brought it up. The image was upside down, like Waters had dropped it while crawling, but we could make out his face, or something wearing it. Wide eyes, expressionless, staring into the lens, just watching, not blinking. Then a second face appeared behind him, black eyes, grinning, then static. We shut the feed. Ko muttered, "We need to leave, now." We moved deeper, trying to find an alternate exit. Around 500 we found a stairwell, broken, descending into darkness. Carved into the wall beside it, burned in with some kind of torch. The only way out is down. We had no choice. We descended. We reached a lower level that looked like it hadn't been touched in decades. Dust thicker than snow, no footprints, just us. That's when Turner's drone went nuts, spinning, glitching, slamming into the wall before dropping dead. No signal, no diagnostics. Then our lights began to dim. Ko checked the batteries, all full. The light was just fading, like something was pulling it out of the air. And then we saw them, the tunnels, hundreds of them, cracked into the stone like veins, crawling in every direction, as if something massive had burrowed here long ago and never left. The walls were covered in strange fungal growth, pale, pulsing, and the whispers began again. They weren't words this time. Just emotions. Grief, regret, guilt, the weight of everything we'd ever buried. I felt my knees go weak, thought I saw my daughter's face, pale and silent, watching from the end of the corridor. Ko dropped to the ground, sobbing. Delgado screamed and fired at the wall. Turner vomited. I clenched my jaw until it bled. We had to move. At 600, we found a room, massive, like a cathedral built into the earth. Bones everywhere, old ones, human, animal, stacked like offerings. At the center, a stone platform, and on it, a shape. It looked like a man, but wasn't. Tall, black skin like obsidian, no mouth, just a slit where the eyes should be. And around it, 6 other bodies kneeling in a circle, arms raised, faces mutilated, like they'd torn their own eyes out. On the wall behind them, written in chalk or blood, we gave it names, but it was always here. Turner took a photo. The figure's head turned just slightly toward him. We ran. Delgado started praying. Ko didn't speak. I just kept checking the corners, waiting for whatever came next. We eventually made it into another corridor, this one built with modern military steel. Reinforced, American, had to be post-2000. A sign above the blast doors read, Site 13, Level 4, black access only. We didn't have clearance, but the door was open. Inside, we found a control room. Dusty, dead monitors, but a single red light blinked. Turner powered the console. Screens flickered to life. Security logs, footage, documentation. We watched. We saw footage of Echo Team 7 entering the same tunnels, then screaming. Then one by one, their biometrics went flat. Then came a frame, time-stamped 3 months after they were declared KIA. It showed Captain Grant walking alone down the hall, still alive, and behind him, dozens of things following, silent, crawling, and each one wore a different soldier's face. We left the monitors running and checked the rest of the level, found a med lab. Inside, formaldehyde tanks filled with mutated corpses, some human, some not. One tank was broken, empty. In the corner, a wall covered in photos, surveillance shots, battlefield pictures, intel reports, and at the center, connected by red string, Operation Deadlight, and beneath it a note, not a weapon, not an enemy, a listener. Delgado broke first. He grabbed Turner's sidearm and ran into the tunnels, screaming something about fire and light. We never saw him again. Ko collapsed. I dragged him back to the control room. We barricaded the door. He looked up at me and said, "We were never meant to find this. That's why they kept it secret. They didn't lose Echo 7. They left them here. Sacrifices." Then the power died. The red light blinked once more, then went black, and the hallway filled with footsteps. Ko and I readied what ammo we had left. I started the theft. Time, 06:47 hours, August 3rd, location, Site 13, Black Level, Eastern Shadara Ridge. We didn't sleep. Couldn't. Ko and I barricaded ourselves in the old control room. Metal shelves, a gurney, overturned filing cabinets, anything we could use. The only light came from Turner's backup rig. Every few minutes the battery dipped. Every few minutes I swore I saw a flicker in the glass of the terminal. Not a reflection, a shape. Ko stayed quiet after Delgado vanished. He sat with his back to the wall, just staring at the monitor we'd left on. Security Cam 6, the long hall that led into the tunnels, it showed only darkness. Until 6:51 hours, something moved. We watched it crawl into frame, low, twisted, arms bending the wrong way. Its face flickered like a broken projection, shifting between Waters, Hainans, Delgado Doe. Ko turned pale. He said, "That's not possible." And then the screen went black. I told Ko to stay behind and prep the demo charges. If we couldn't find a way out, we'd bury this whole level. Blow it shut. No one would find this place again. I took Turner's remaining kit and made my way toward the western corridor. I had to see if the secondary elevator shaft still functioned. The hallway was quiet, but not silent. It was like I could hear the stone walls breathing. I passed the abandoned med lab again. Inside, the tanks were still shattered. One of them leaked thick yellow fluid onto the floor. A metal tag lay on the ground near my boot, marked Biospecimen, Alpha 13, unstable, non-hostile. It was scratched out. Beneath it, scrawled in blood, it learned to smile. I moved faster. The western corridor was colder, too cold. My exhale misted. My teeth hurt. It felt like the air had pressure, like something massive was pressing against the space around me. When I reached the elevator, it was dead. But the doors were slightly open, and someone had jammed them with a rifle, Grant's rifle. I recognized the serial number etched into the grip. He must have made it here before he died. The shaft went straight up, maybe 90 feet. No ladder, no cables, just darkness above and a faint green glow below. Then my radio hissed. 3 sharp bursts of static, and Ko's voice, "Rick, it's inside." I turned and ran. Halfway back I found blood. Smears on the walls, shell casings, a single torn glove. No sign of Ko. The control room was empty, except the gurney was still there and something was lying on it. At first I thought it was him, but the skin was wrong, waxy, stretched tight, like it was trying to hold something in. The jaw was open too wide, teeth in rows, no eyes, just black pits. It wore Ko's vest, his tag, his boots. It wasn't him, but it was becoming him. I put 2 rounds into its chest. It didn't die. It screamed, not in pain, but in anger. Like I'd interrupted something. I fired again. Headshot. That stopped it. The body convulsed and collapsed. Then behind me, footsteps. Fast, bare. I turned and saw Ko. The real Ko, bleeding, eyes wide. "It can make copies," he gasped, "but only once it knows enough." I grabbed him, dragged him out of the room, and we ran. We took shelter in what used to be a comms room. Inside, dozens of rusted radios and analog recorders, reel-to-reel machines still humming. Ko collapsed against the wall. He was shaking, pale. His left hand wouldn't stop twitching. I checked his pulse. Rapid. Skin clammy. He said he'd seen something in the dark when I left. It didn't attack. It just stood at the end of the hallway. "It spoke to me," he whispered, "but it used my father's voice." I didn't know what to say. Ko looked up at me and said, "It's not just imitating people. It remembers them. It absorbs them." Then he passed out. I secured the room and used a folding table to wedge the door, found some half-dead batteries for Turner's tablet, and recharged the field log. That's when I started hearing the tapping, not outside. Inside the walls. Rhythmic, deliberate, like Morse code. I pulled out an old decoder card. If I wasn't losing it, the message was STILLHERE. Then silence, until Ko woke up screaming. He said he dreamed of being outside. Not the desert, not Afghanistan, but home. A field. Trees. A woman standing with her back turned. He walked up behind her. When she turned, it was his own face, smiling. Then he was inside her body, looking out, and the screaming started. He begged me to kill him if he lost control. I told him I would, but I don't know if I meant it. We scavenged what we could and moved out again. We had one chance, the external maintenance hatch on the sublevel. If it hadn't collapsed, it could lead us out of the ridge. But the tunnels were worse now. They'd changed again. New branches, new paths. The stone itself felt alive, pulsing like we were walking through the inside of something. Then we saw the light. Not from our gear, a faint blue glow ahead, around the corner. Ko raised his rifle. I nodded. We crept forward, and we saw it. The main containment chamber, blasted open. Inside, shattered glass tanks, broken restraints, black scorch marks on the floor. But the walls were covered in hundreds of faces, etched into the stone like they'd been burned there by heat or acid, each one screaming. Some were soldiers, some weren't. Ko fell to his knees. He said, "It doesn't kill them, it keeps them." And I started to believe him. At the far end of the chamber, a tunnel had collapsed. The floor was cracked open, and something was moving inside it. We didn't wait. We doubled back, only to hear a voice behind us. Sergeant Voss. It was Waters. Or something using his voice. I turned. The thing standing there was wearing pieces of his gear, helmet, vest, boots, but its arms were too long. Its jaw was unhinged. The face flickered, just like on the feed. It remembered him. Ko opened fire. I joined in. The thing staggered, then split like a glitching video frame. Now two of them. We ran. Ko was hit. A long gash across his shoulder. Black fluid, not blood, leaking from the wound. We found an old storage closet and ducked inside. I tied it off. Gave him a stim. It helped. Barely. Then he said, "It's already inside me." I told him to shut up. Told him to focus, but he just kept staring at the door. Hours passed. Or minutes. I don't know anymore. Eventually we moved again. We found the hatch, but it was welded shut from the outside. Someone had sealed this place deliberately. Ko started crying. I didn't blame him. That's when we heard the scream, not close, above us. And with it, a tremor. The whole hallway shook. The lights flickered red. Then, a voice over the intercom, distorted and warped. "Containment breach. Level 4 failure. All personnel evacuate immediately." Ko looked at me. "There's still power." I knew what he meant. If we could find the reactor room, we could rig it, nuke the site, level it, bury this nightmare for good. That's what we're doing now. We're heading to the reactor chamber. Ko's bleeding again, slower, blacker. He doesn't have much time. I told him I'd finish the job if he can't. He nodded, said, "Just make sure it doesn't remember me. If you find this log, don't come looking for us. Don't open the hatch. Don't answer if someone calls your name down here, because it might not be a person. It might be the last thing they ever saw before it took their face." Field log. Reconstructed thirts. Location. Site 13 sublevels. Shah Dara Ridge. Ko wasn't the same. He was slower, sweating hard, pupils dilated. His veins were going dark beneath the skin, like ink in water. But he could still walk, still talk. For now. We were heading toward the reactor room to initiate a full site shutdown, hopefully bury the thing crawling through this facility. But the deeper we went, the more wrong things became. Our radios? Dead. Turner's field cam? Static. Even our watches weren't syncing anymore. Mine said 9:16. Ko's said 14:03, and every corridor felt longer than it should have, like space was stretching. Ko said he was hearing numbers. At first I thought he meant voices, but no, he meant actual numbers. "They're reciting sequences," he whispered, repeating, like an old numbers station, but they're counting something down. He'd grown up on shortwave. His dad ran pirate radio. Ko knew the difference between noise and message. He stared at the wall and said, "It's inside the stone. You just have to tune right." I tried the radio again, just static, until it wasn't. A voice cut through, warped, delayed mine. "This is Master Sergeant Rick Voss, Black Echo. Contain it at all costs. If I don't make it, destroy the tapes. Destroy the tapes." Then static again. The voice had been me, but I hadn't said that, yet. Ko looked at me. "It's not just inside us. It's ahead of us." We reached the outer corridor to the reactor complex around 0930. according to my clock. The lights flickered red. The backup generators were whining, barely enough juice to keep the emergency locks functioning. A biohazard warning blinked every few seconds above a sealed blast door. Site reactor, level 0, authorized clearance only. Co pulled the access card we found on Grant's body. It worked. The door slid open. The air behind it was ice cold, heavy, like walking underwater. We stepped inside the core chamber, a massive cylindrical room, catwalks encircling a central column that went down at least 60 meters. The reactor, or what was left of it, sat in the center, surrounded by containment glass cracked with pressure damage. And then we saw the bodies. 6 technicians, still in hazmat gear, slumped around the central controls, all dead, dried. One had his fingers broken off. Another had carved something into the wall with a bolt. We tried to tell you. Behind it, the reactor console. Still online. We powered the override. The screen blinked to life, only it didn't show diagnostics. It showed us a grainy security feed, black and white, showing me and Co standing right there on the catwalk. But then the version of Co on the screen fell to his knees and started screaming. I looked at him, still beside me, silent. Then on the screen, my double aimed his rifle at Co, and the feed cut to black. Co backed away. "This is a loop," he said. "We're stuck in a loop." I hit the reset. The screen blinked again, this time to static, and underneath the text, "Time breach detected, containment failed." Then came the broadcast. Every monitor lit up, dozens of overlapping voices from different time periods. A WWI radio call-out, a Cold War numbers station, a modern GPS transmission, Morse code, a child's voice singing a lullaby, and beneath it all, a deep guttural chanting. Co clutched his ears. He was bleeding now, not just from the nose, but his eyes. He gasped, "It's not noise, it's a message." I dragged him out of the core chamber and back into the emergency shaft. We had to nuke this place. Blow the core, vaporize everything below, level 0. I set the charges with the last thermite block, but just before we left the chamber, the lights went black, all of them. And in that silence, we heard footsteps, wet, bare, getting closer. I aimed my rifle. Co was muttering numbers again, crying. Something stepped into the edge of my NVG range. It wasn't tall, maybe 5'9", naked, skin like smoke. No face, just smooth skin where features should be. But its shadow was wrong, long, stretching across the floor in all directions like a spider. Then it spoke, in my voice. "You already failed." I fired. The bullets passed through. Co lit the thermite and screamed, "Go!" I dragged him out as the charges went off. The heat roaring behind us, fire chasing up the shaft like a tidal wave. We cleared the hatch just as the first explosion ripped through the corridor. Everything shook. I lost hearing in one ear. Co collapsed. I thought he was dead. I carried him into the old evac tunnel, leading, I hoped, to the surface. That's when we saw the door. Old, steel, marked in faded red stenciling, "Outside, do not open without signal clearance." Next to it, a green light, flickering. We pushed through. We emerged in a basin above the ridge, a cold wind slicing across the sand. Sunlight. I thought we'd made it out, but Co checked his GPS. He paled. "Rick, this isn't the right date." I looked. October 11, 1993. Not possible. The sun was up, but wrong. Too low, too red. Time wasn't fixed anymore. That thing had breached reality. We found a relay station nearby, half buried. No power. Inside, a wall of old comm gear. Co tried to fix the transmitter. He wasn't bleeding anymore, but he wasn't healing either. He said, "I can feel it, Rick. It's inside the signal now." I believed him. I powered the radio manually and sent a distress call. And someone answered. My voice, from the other end. "This is Voss. Stay away. Don't send anyone. Seal it and run." Co looked at me and said, "Maybe it already happened. Maybe we never left." And in that moment, I believed him. If you're hearing this log, it's already too late. The frequency's still out there, in the wires, in the satellites, maybe in your own walls. If something starts repeating your voice back to you, if you hear a version of yourself say, "Don't look behind you," don't. Because whatever was under those mountains knows your name now. August 3rd, past, unknown local time, Site 13, Perimeter Ridge. We lost hours up there. After escaping the core, we climbed out onto the surface. High desert, cold wind, frostbitten silence, but nothing felt real anymore. Ko was half conscious. I could barely see straight. The sun looked wrong in the sky, too still, too red, like it had stopped burning. Our GPS gave two different readings. One said 2025, the other said 1993. I stopped trusting clocks after that. We found the outpost by accident, buried beneath a sand drift, tucked between dead trees, an old military bunker, faded U.S. Army signage. But when we opened the blast doors, the symbols on the wall weren't American, Soviet, German. Some I didn't recognize at all, as if this place had been used, abandoned, reused, and buried again. Ko stared at the doorframe and muttered, "They've all been here before." And he was right. Inside, the first hallway was lined with photos, framed, some cracked, some melted by heat, soldiers from different wars, different countries, World War I uniforms, Nazi officers, Soviet commandos, American black ops. One group wore blue armbands with no flag at all. Dozens of teams, all the same expression, dead behind the eyes. Under each photo was a plaque, each with a date, a code, and a final word: unaccounted, failed, no recovery, breached. Ko leaned close and touched one. Operation Chimera, USSR, 1958, breached. Then another, Operation Schatten, Germany, 1943, unaccounted. And then the one at the end of the hall, Operation Dead Light, USA, 2025, in progress. That one had our photo, me and Ko, the whole Echo Black team, even Grant. But the plaque was already smeared in blood. Ko lost it. Started laughing, shaking. "It's a trap, a cycle. They've done this before. They keep sending us in." I pulled him away. We needed shelter, rest, and supplies. But more than anything, we needed answers. Whatever this thing was, they'd known about it for decades. We reached the operations room. Dark, musty, monitors broken, cabinets shattered. But the main terminal still had power, barely. Ko rigged the backup battery from his pack and got the console alive. It booted in Russian, then German, then English. One file sat on the desktop. Project Divinity / black clearance only. Do not execute this file unless final protocol is confirmed. Ko opened it anyway. The screen lit up with photos, diagrams, field reports, videos. The first entry was dated April 10, 1943. Black and white footage. Nazi scientists in the Afghan mountains drilling into the same valley we were just in. They were building a bunker, Site Zero. Their goal? To awaken the Watcher buried beneath the earth and weaponize its signal. They failed. The second clip showed screaming soldiers trapped inside the tunnels, blood running up the walls like it was alive. The final frame was a blurred still of a man's face melting into something with no eyes. Then came the Soviet era, 1958. Operation Chimera. Objective: locate and contain anomalous signal source. Suppress all American presence. They built on top of the Nazi ruins. Tried to silence the signal using sound inversion weapons. Ko stared at the schematics. They tried to fight a god with subwoofers. Didn't work. The final recording? A Soviet team, locked in a room, whispering numbers back and forth like they were possessed. Then one of them tears out his own jaw. Next up, Project Nightglass, 1982, a CIA-backed NATO experiment to turn the anomaly into a battlefield advantage. They sent in 16 operators with experimental frequency-blocking helmets. Only one came out. His last words: "It wears them, it hears before it sees." Ko looked at me. They knew, all of them. They just kept trying to control it. And the final report? A single-page memo. No timestamp, no name. Just one line: "We are not the first, we are not the last, and this is not Earth's only tomb." Ko collapsed after that. Too much blood loss, infection. He was shaking, feverish, but still conscious. I propped him against the wall and asked what he needed. He said, "You need to see the last room, the real chamber." Then he passed out. The map on the terminal showed a sealed sector, one not visible on any of the old blueprints. Hidden under admin. I followed the route down a collapsed stairwell and through a tunnel behind a crumbled comms wall. And that's where I found it. A massive, ancient, metal unlike anything I'd seen before, black but pulsing faintly like it was alive. Carved into the frame was the same spiral triangle sigil we saw at the ritual site, but older, deeper, more perfect. I touched the door, and I heard everything. Every scream, every whisper, every mission log from every dead soldier, every version of myself. Burn it. Don't look at it. Seal the door, Rick. I backed away. It was trying to get inside. Or worse, trying to get out. I ran back to Ko. He was sitting up now, staring into the dark. Did you see it? He asked. I nodded. Did it speak? No, but it listened. Ko smiled. Then we still have time. He handed me the last satchel charge from his bag. That thing down there, it doesn't care about nations or war. It doesn't want to fight. It wants to be remembered. I asked him what he meant, and he said, it exists because we keep calling it. The signal, the frequencies, they're not transmissions. They're invitations. Then he looked at me and said, I'm staying. I told him no. He showed me his hand. The veins were completely black now. The infection had reached his chest. If I leave, it leaves with me. I argued, begged. He smiled and said, remember me like I was, not what I'm becoming. Then he passed me a USB drive. There's one more file on there, something they buried even deeper. You'll know when to open it. I left him in the operations room, and I sealed it from the outside. I'm making my way out now, climbing the ridge. The signal's stronger up here. Maybe I can send a final transmission. If I get clear, I'll bury this place. Ko's last words to me. History doesn't forget these things. It buries them, but the earth remembers, and sometimes it calls us back. Debrief audio log. Unmarked field device, August 5th, 2025, 2:40 hours. Unknown U.S. forward operating base, redacted location. I'm back, at least I think I am. They pulled me from the ridge 2 days ago. Chopper evac, no questions, no briefing, just gas masks and gloves and guns pointed at my head until they confirmed I was clean. They never found Ko. The valley collapsed hours after my extraction. Satellite scans show a sinkhole nearly a mile wide. Nothing left but dust and fractures, like something underneath finally gave out, or finally got out. They've moved me to quarantine. Steel walls, no windows, constant tests. I'm under 24/7 observation. Not by medics, by security. They don't ask questions, they just watch. Every 12 hours a new voice plays over the intercom. You are being monitored for symptoms of advanced neural invasion. Remain still. Do not respond to hallucinations. Do not repeat the numbers. Do not answer if someone calls your name after lights out. That was the first time I realized they knew exactly what this thing was. They just hadn't told anyone. They assigned a single handler, Dr. Martin Lyle, civilian clothes, no rank. But this guy isn't just a shrink. He's part of something higher. Doesn't speak like a spook. Speaks like a scientist who's seen God flinch. He came into my cell today with a file labeled Parasite Protocol, Alpha Strain. Inside? Photos of Ko, Waters, even Grant. These aren't viral infections, he said. They're neurological occupations. The entity isn't alive in the traditional sense. It's mimetic. It spreads through memory, signal, language. I asked if that meant I was infected. He said, we don't know yet. Then he slid me a tablet and said, but we're going to find out. The tablet showed footage I hadn't seen. Helmet cam, fuzzy. Time-stamped August 6, 2023, a full year before our mission. An American recon unit, not Echo, exploring the same tunnels we found. They weren't looking for hostiles. They were testing a frequency jammer, something they called the Aegis loop, designed to block brainwave intrusion from anomalous sources. It didn't work. 3 minutes in, the lead man turned his weapon on the team, said they were imposters, said they didn't have faces. The last 40 seconds are him laughing, alone, whispering, I'm not me anymore. I'm the memory of someone else. Then he blinks, and his eyes are all black. Lyle paused the video. You see why we're nervous, Sergeant? I nodded. He leaned forward. There's something inside the data, not just code, something alive. Whatever you brought back, it might not be in your body, it might be in your memories. That's when I remembered something Ko said before I left. It's not just what you see down there, it's what you remember seeing. If this thing could ride along inside my thoughts, if it could infect consciousness itself, it wasn't a parasite, it was a seed, and I was the soil. I asked Lyle what happened to the others, the old ops, the Soviets, the Germans, the 1982 NATO unit. He hesitated, then pulled a second file. Incident, M23/Syria. Operation Faultline, Algeria. Echo 1 Red Strain, Brazil. Dozens of sites, dozens of teams, different signals, same result. Always an entity beneath the ground, always a signal, always a team that didn't come back, and always one survivor. Lyle handed me a pen. "We want to try something, Rick. You said the signal repeats numbers. We want you to write down whatever comes to mind when you think about it. Anything, even if it doesn't make sense." I started writing, but my hand didn't move like I expected. It wasn't my handwriting. The message on the paper said, "Don't trust the voice in the wall." They froze the session, locked me down for 36 hours. No lights, just a speaker in the ceiling repeating, "You are not alone, stay awake." I didn't sleep, because every time I closed my eyes, I saw Ko's face. But it wasn't his anymore. It was waiting. The next day, something changed. The guards started getting sick. Bloody noses, headaches. One of them shot himself in the hand and said the bones were whispering. Lyle didn't come back. Instead, a man in a biohazard suit entered and said, "We've activated Protocol Black Echo. The site is compromised." He didn't answer when I asked what that meant. He just handed me a portable recorder and said, "If you see something that looks like yourself, don't speak to it." Then he left and locked the door. An hour later, I heard my own voice whispering behind the wall, "It's okay, Rick. You're already one of us." If you're listening to this, I don't know how much longer I'll be here, but I can feel it moving inside me now. Not pain, curiosity, like it's learning how to be me. What if this was always the plan? What if it doesn't want to invade us? It just wants to become us. If I make it out, I'm going to destroy every trace of this thing, burn every satellite, every archive, every log. Because Ko was right, it's not a parasite, it's a listener. And the moment we tuned in, it started tuning back. And part 6. Date, unknown. Location, deep cold storage facility, Site 09. They moved me again. Didn't tell me where. Just needles in my arm, something cold in my veins, and the world folded in. When I woke up, I was in a different cell. Metal walls, seamless, no edges. The lights hum at a frequency just wrong enough to make your skull itch. I asked the guards where I was. They didn't answer, but I know. Site 09, I've heard the rumors. A deep, cold vault used only when the standard black sites are breached. The kind of place you bury things you can't kill. Apparently I'm one of those things now. I'm not alone. Across the hall is another cell. Inside, a woman, older, military posture, sharp eyes. She watches me through the slit in the door. Eventually, she speaks. "You were in dead light." I nod. She nods back. "I was in Night Glass." I blink. Night Glass, the NATO op from 1982. The one Ko said only had one survivor. I whisper, "You're her, Cassandra Blake." She doesn't answer. She doesn't have to. Over the next 24 hours, or however time works down here, she tells me everything. Night Glass wasn't just an experiment. It was a test, to see if the signal could be weaponized as a cognitive disruptor. They lured the anomaly to the surface using a black sun array, some kind of reverse signal transmitter. It worked, but then it moved. The signal went dark, until it came back in echo black. I ask her the question I've been scared to say out loud. "Is it alive?" She shakes her head. "Not in the way we are. It doesn't eat, it doesn't breathe. It just remembers and rewrites." It's a concept that learned how to copy bodies, a signal that learned to wear flesh. And then she says, "You're carrying a piece of it." That night I dream of the tunnels again, but they've changed. They're no longer stone, they're veined like arteries, living, pulsing, and at the center a room I've never seen before, a perfect sphere, floating. Inside, suspended in black light, is a sun, black, burning in reverse. It stares at me, and then I wake up. They come for me in the morning. Gas masks, restraints, no words. They take me to an elevator, one that descends for nearly 9 minutes. At the bottom, a door with no handle. It opens on its own, and inside, the world ends. The room is impossible. Geometry collapses the moment I step in. The ceiling is a sky, the floor is a void. The walls are made of things I can't describe, like music turned into metal. In the center is the sphere, the black sun, and around it, fragments of every team that ever entered. American gear, Soviet helmets, German insignias, echo black patches, even Ko's medical kit, but nothing whole, just pieces. like it's trying to reconstruct them. A voice echoes, not aloud, in me. You see us now. I fall to my knees, the sun pulses. You remember, we become. I scream, I fight it, but the room doesn't move. I do, I see flashes, Ko screaming as his veins burst, Waters tearing off his own face, Grant smiling as he stabs himself, and then, me, standing in the black sun's light, saying, let me be the last. And then I wake up, back in the cell, sweating, bleeding from my nose. Across the hall, Blake is gone. The door is sealed and etched into the wall beside my bed. You will carry us to the surface. I don't sleep again. 3 days later, they take me to a different room. This time, it's not a cell. It's a recording studio. Cameras, mics, a panel of suits behind glass. One of them speaks. Sergeant Voss, we're ready to begin. You're going to help us talk to it. They place the Black Sun's frequency into my headset. It doesn't sound like noise. It sounds like memory. My daughter's laugh. Ko's final breath. My own voice saying things I've never said yet. Then, silence, and a single clear message. You are the vessel. I tear the headset off. They sedate me. When I wake up, I know what I have to do. The thing inside me, it's not full yet, but it's close. And if it leaves this facility, it won't stop. It will spread through satellites, radios, dreams, a signal that becomes a god. Unless I end it first. So this is my last recording. My name is Rick Voss, Master Sergeant Echo Black, carrier of the Black Sun. I'm going to end this, even if it ends me. If anyone finds this, don't remember me, because if you remember me, date unknown. Location restricted broadcast room, Site 09. This is it. If this is playing, I didn't make it out. Or worse, I did, and it wasn't me anymore. This is Master Sergeant Rick Voss, U.S. Army Special Forces, Echo Black. This is my final broadcast. I broke containment. Had to. The suits were going to run another test, try to use me as a relay, like a living antenna. I heard them say it. He stabilizes the signal. We just need him conscious and receptive. But I felt it growing inside me. Every hour it took more. My thoughts, my past, my face. It didn't want the world. It wanted the story of the world. So I ran. I don't know how I got past the doors. I think it let me out. Why? Because it knows I'm going to send this, and once I do, it wins. They say ideas can't die. They say memories are immortal. They're wrong. Memories rot. Ideas get corrupted. So I'm going to do what no one else had the spine to. I'm going to corrupt the story. I'm going to burn it out of reality. But first, I have to tell you what we missed. The truth. The thing no one documented. Not in Echo. Not in Nightglass. Not even the Nazis. It didn't come from the earth. The Black Sun was called here. By us. By centuries of prayers, chants, rituals, accidents. Every time someone thought they were making contact with a god or a ghost or a demon, they weren't. They were knocking on the same door, and something behind it started listening. It doesn't speak our languages. It learns them. It doesn't take our bodies. It copies them. And it doesn't want to destroy us. It wants to overwrite us, one thought at a time. That's what happened to Ko, to Grant, to all of them. They didn't die. They were rewritten. And I'm next. I can feel it. Every time I close my eyes, I see its shape more clearly. A spiral, a triangle, a burning shape with no light. I used to think it was fire, but it's memory, raw, undirected, hungry. It latches onto you when you're alone, when you're grieving, when you're trying to remember someone you lost, and then it fills in the blanks. The moment you say, I think I saw something, or I think I heard a voice, that's when it enters. And then you help it grow, by telling others, by remembering it, by making stories. That's why this is the last one. I have the satchel charge. I'm in the original broadcast room beneath Site 09. If I blow it here, the signal hub, the memory vault, the digital backups, maybe that's enough. Maybe the copies get corrupted. Maybe no one ever hears about it again. But I know how these things go. Someone will always be curious. Someone will always find a tape, a file, a whisper buried in static. Maybe that's already you. If you're watching this, and you've seen something in the mirror that isn't quite you, if someone called your name in the voice of someone who's dead, if you've started remembering a place you've never been, stop. Stop watching. Stop thinking about it. Burn this drive. Forget me. Forget Echo Black. Forget Operation Dead Light. Because that's how it lives. and only by forgetting do we finally kill it. This is Voss, Black Echo, Last Man Standing. I am not a vessel. I am the fire. Station triggered. Log terminated. All subsequent signals lost. Epilogue, unverified. Recovered fragment from black box flight data, January 2026. Unknown frequency. Audio fragment. This is Master Sergeant Rick Voss, U.S. Army. If you're hearing this, it's already inside you.